Hi guys, my name is Bex and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be bringing to you my January wrap-up. In the month of January, I ended up reading a total of 6 books, which is a really good start to 2018. And I'm doing things a little bit differently this year. I'm tracking my reading better. Basically, I've developed a spreadsheet because you know how accountants feel about spreadsheets. And I'm tracking the pages I've read as well as the genre and stuff like that. So hopefully, overall at the end of the year, I will have better stats for you guys. So this will be the first month that I will be implementing this new kind of spreadsheet, so I will get into the facts now. So starting with the stats. In the month of January, I read a total of 2,253 pages among 6 books, and I ended up reading 3 fantasy, 2 sci-fi, and 1 historical fiction. Also in this mix, one of these books were also a graphic novel. My ratings ranged from 2.5 stars all the way to 5 stars. Now enough with the stats, let's get into the books that I read. So the first book I read going into January was All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a fantasy magical realism story following the family of the Saroyas that live in Baisho in Colorado. That was a lot to say in one sentence. So this follows a family who basically can make miracles happen. And everyone comes to their little town is wanting a miracle from this family. However, what it takes to get a miracle in this town is truly creepy. If you've been here before, you know that I really enjoy Maggie Stiefvater's writing. However, this book for me was a bit of a disappointment. I ended up giving this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars, which is nowhere near the rating that I would normally give Maggie Stiefvater's writing. It felt really short for me. So what I can say about All the Crooked Saints is that it was a really intriguing concept, but it was under-delivered. I felt like the writing needed work and it was trying too hard to be lyrical and beautiful, and normally it doesn't feel so forced in Maggie's books. And I feel like the writing style of Maggie kind of lulls you in a false sense of enjoyment because it is so beautiful. It feels like it's more than you're actually getting, and the actual story lagged. And I felt like it was like a smokescreen. I thought I was getting a wonderful book and a wonderful story, but when I looked through the flourishes and the descriptions, at its base, the plot wasn't very entertaining, and I was disappointed in this read. Moving on, the second book that I read in the month of January was Zenith by Sasha Ellsberg and Lindsay Cummings, and I received this one from Harlequin Australia, so thank you for Harlequin for providing me with this advanced reader copy so I could give my thoughts for this one. And Zenith surprised me. Zenith follows Androma Racella, who is known as the Bloody Baroness, and it follows her and her all-girl spaceship crew on board the Marauder. Basically, a routine mission goes a little bit wrong, and Andy and her crew find themselves at the hands of a bounty hunter from Andy's past, and they get swept up in an adventure. This book was so much better than I thought it was. I have a full spoiler-free review. I will link up in the cards for you to go check out if you would like. I've been hearing a lot of disappointing things about Zenith, but I was one of those people who went in expecting nothing and got an adventure that I really enjoyed. It's an awesome sci-fi book, and I love the all-female crew. The characters were really enjoyable, and I enjoyed the world and the world building. Every different part of this book was different, and it felt different. However, where it did fall down a little bit in the writing style, it did get a little bit repetitive, and we had like 6 points of view. So I feel like if those points of view were condensed, we might not have got so much repetition, but ultimately I enjoyed this and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read in January was The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, and this was the book for the Quarterly Club. We had our live show last weekend, so I will link our live show down below if you would like to go check out the full club's thoughts. I was really disappointed in The Miniaturist. This was kind of pitched as magical realism, but it was historical fiction, so that's where I got a little bit too into the magical realism that didn't exist in this book. This follows Nella, who as an 18-year-old is married off. She then goes to Amsterdam to live with her new husband. He's a bit withdrawn and gets her basically a replica of their house for her to entertain herself, basically. She ends up asking the miniaturist to get a few things for this house, and the miniaturist gives a lot more than you expect, and strange things start happening. What happens in the miniature house is also happening in the real house, and it's very strange. I did not enjoy this book. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I think it was built up to be something that it wasn't. It felt magical realism. Like that's all the thoughts I got, but it was really historical fiction, and it's way out of my genre reel. I don't read historical fictions very often, so it was a little bit of a stretch for me, and I feel like the characters weren't developed enough, and I felt like every action did not have a reason. Things started happening in the end of this book that didn't make much sense, and it didn't drive the plot forward. The first half of the book is very slow, and it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at all. I should stop bashing it. The next book I read in January was awesome, and it was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is the book pick for the Sassy Book Club, which I was lucky enough to be in their live show today as I was filming this. Leave a link to that also down below, so definitely go check it out. This book was absolutely incredible. This follows a guy named Laszlo who is a dreamer, and he dreams of a world called Weep, and it basically follows his adventure. He is a librarian, and these warriors come to town and take him away to see the city that he's always dreamed of, and it's not at all like what he expects, and it was just so good. This is the first Laini Taylor book I've ever read, but the writing was beautiful and flowery, but not overpowering. Characters were well developed. They were all complex and all well developed, and this book gives you such a feeling of there is no villain. And even if there is, you can't really see them as a villain. I'm so conflicted when reading this book. It was so beautiful and so magical, and the ending crushed my soul, and I need the Muse of Nightmares now, and Laini Taylor has to fix what she's done. This book was just fantastic, and it crushed me, and I definitely recommend it. It is such a good fantasy. I ended up giving Strange the Dreamer a 5 out of 5 stars. If I could give it a 6, I would. The next book I read was a graphic novel, and it was I Hate Fairyland Volume 2, Fluff My Life by Scotty Young, and I really enjoy this series of graphic novels. They are colourful, they are bright, they are vibrant, they are gruesome, they are murderous, and they are all sorts of epic. It follows a girl named Gertrude who, when she was 6-year-old, she always dreamed of going to Fairyland. And her dream comes true, and she is pulled through to Fairyland, which is a place where normally kids can get out of relatively quickly. They go in, they find their door, they go out, woo, they had an adventure. Unfortunately, that is not what happens to Gert. Gert gets stuck there, and now she is a 30-year-old woman, and she is fucking bitter about it. So this is about Gertrude after what happened in Volume 1, which I can't tell you, you'll need to read it yourself, but it was just so good. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and the artwork is just fantastic. You just need Gert in your life. She's like the villain, but you gotta love her. And the last book that I read in the month of January was Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle. I hope I said that correctly. And this is a really cool one. But basically, when this girl was little, she falls into this hole, and in that hole is a big metal hand. And when she grows up, she eventually is put to work to find out what this big metal hand is, and it's really entertaining. I can't give you really much more than that, because I don't want to spoil it. There's so much that goes on this book, and it's told in like transcripts and interviews. It wasn't overly descriptive like a normal book would be, but I could still see everything very clearly. It gave me such creepy vibes, and it was eerie and atmospheric, but it also had an amazing storyline to it and an amazing plot, and it was just a quick read. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I really loved it, and now I need to get my hands on number 2, which is Waking Gods, because I just need to finish this off, like ASAP. My friend Jess from Jess Reads Books, I will leave her link down below, basically raved about this one, so I had to get amongst it, and I was not disappointed. Also, I ended up getting the hardcover, and it is fantastic. And that's it for me today, guys. Those are all the books that I read in the month of January, and I'm pretty excited at how my reading's going so far this year, and hopefully we can keep this up and hit my reading goal. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more and have not already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know what books you read in the month of January. I'd love to hear, or if you've read any of the books that I read this month, tell me if you like them. I would love to hear. Also, this video will also be going up during the StrikeBackVideoAthon. I'm not sure what day it's going up yet, so I couldn't put it at the front. But thank you very much for all your support during the StrikeBackVideoAthon, and I hope you are supporting all the other amazing booktubers that are also joining in. That's it from me today, guys. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I will see you in a new one. Bye!